Welcome to another episode of Infrastructure Matters. I'm Dean Nelson, and joining me today is John Novak. He is the Vice President of Hybrid and Cloud Products here at Apptio. Is that correct?
That's right.
Awesome. So John and I have known each other for almost 6 years now. We met in 2013 at the TBM conference and have been doing geeky finance and infrastructure stuff since. So it's great to see you again.
Dean, it's great to see you.
We're talking through a theme today about hybrid infrastructure. So I'm interested in what you're working on because you've been at Apptio for 10 years, correct?
That's right.
A decade.
That's right.
That's amazing.
That puts a point on it right there.
There you go. So tell me a bit about what you're working on.
Funny you should ask. It's hybrid. So over the years, 10 years at Apptio, cloud has become an increasing part of our customers' estates, multi-cloud in particular. So my focus over the last 2 years has been on multi-cloud and its role within overall hybrid.
Gotcha. So multi-cloud. Okay. So we've been talking about cloud for a lot, but the theme of today, as you mentioned, is hybrid infrastructure. So cloud, of course, is everywhere, but so is on-prem. So owning and operating your own data centers and infrastructure. And so the blend of that, I think, is what we're talking about because it is a hybrid world. It just comes down to percentages between them.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
Okay. I was just at a conference called CloudAbility, and I did this talk with Chris Pick. You guys had acquired CloudAbility, correct?
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
And so I'd love to learn a little bit more about that because we had quite a bit of conversation about it at CloudAbility.
CloudAbility, we're very excited about. It is the leading public cloud DevOps product for managing public cloud. As you know, Apptio has had cloud financial management in the past, but mainly from a monthly financial reporting.
Okay.
What CloudAbility brings to the table is that really deep set of tools that a cloud DevOps person would need for that daily, hourly visibility into their cloud spend, allowing them to be informed of what cloud costs, what's consuming cloud, optimize, right size, and operate their public cloud environments.
Got it. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. For those that don't know what Apptio is and CloudAbility, et cetera, can you talk a little bit more about what is it that Apptio does overall?
Sure. Simply put, is we manage the business of IT, or rather, we are a software company that provides the products that enable our customers to manage the business of IT.
Got it. And so the business system of record of IT.
That's right.
Okay. And defining IT overall, it is everything that makes those businesses run. The underlying foundational infrastructure to the cloud deployments to the applications, everything in that stack. Correct?
That's right. That's right. And you can call it technology. I think IT is what we said when we started the company, but now that every business is essentially a technology business, it is so pervasive that you can really refer to all that as the technology that underpins the business.
And we're definitely going to jump into more of these things. But for me, the ability to be able to see into the tuning of it. So this is what the CloudAbility acquisition brought, correct? So you've got you can see now the actual consumption within cloud. You can see who's using it, how they're using it, what it's costing you, and then they also offer tools around the tuning of that to optimize?
Yeah, that's right. Whether you're right-sizing an EC2 instance, Lambda, Athena, Glue, being able to optimize it best for your environment based on your usage.
Yeah. Okay.
So Dean, it's my turn. It's great to see you. What have you been up to?
This is great. It's a kind of a dual fireside chat here. I've hit my 30-year mark in the digital infrastructure industry, and so I left Uber just earlier this year, and I left on my 51st birthday, which was my 30-year anniversary. I started at Sun Microsystems on my 21st birthday, right? And now moving forward, I wanted to go into a different chapter of my life. And what's neat is I'm doing a strategic advisory and consulting work today. So I'm now picking companies that either are leading in the space or are going to be doing disruptive type works or have emerging tech for emerging trends that are happening outside. And so I'm doing advisory work for Aptio, specifically because I believe you guys have a really solid foundation, and tied with the community of TBM, is really powerful. So this has opened my eyes to a number of very interesting trends, where you're so heads down at the job, trying to make a company like Uber or eBay's others infrastructure drive growth. Now, when you step back and you start to widen that aperture, and all of these startup companies and new concepts, it's just incredible. So it's been really fun for me. So I've got a portfolio of advisory type roles with companies.
That sounds like an incredible role.
It's fun.
And you've had a number of incredible roles. I think we first met when you were at eBay. And prior to that, I think it was Sun and then Uber. So you've been responsible for infrastructure initiatives across all those companies. I work a lot with customers in infrastructure. You've had that unique vantage point of seeing many different types. And I'd like to ask, in that role, who typically owns the private cloud, the physical infrastructure, and the cloud? Are they all owned by one person? Are they siloed? And if so, why?
I've been blessed in my career to have worked for some great companies. And I've been in foundational infrastructure for all 30 years. So think of it as data center, network, the hardware, the infrastructure, business management of it, so the budgets, and then like metal as a service. So everything from how an asset comes in to when it's retired, that life cycle, and the systems around it to support it. So we would enable all of our shared platforms with capacity and stability underneath. So that's been my job for that 30 years. And what I've found is, so first off, for me, I've been blessed to be able to own all the pieces. So think of it from the bare metal down, all the elements that make that work, the engine underneath. Yeah. And so with that, you can do a lot of alignment. So your question about the siloed nature of it is just the reality. So the challenge is that people are speaking in different languages. It doesn't matter if you're in a data center talking kilowatts or square foot, right? Then you go into the hardware side and you're saying, I want to do flops or memory, etc. Then you go in the network and you're doing bits across something, and right, WAN, LAN, and MAN. And then you go into the financial management of it, and you're talking dollars and cents. Then you talk about the shared platforms, and they're all looking at ways that they virtualize and add value up into the applications. So trying to get everybody on the same page is literally the toughest thing to do. Trying to get them singing from the same sheet of music. So what I've seen, and the reason that I do things, again, advisory with Apptio and also the TBM Council specifically, is that there has to be a standardized way to structure and see, right, visibility into what the overall infrastructure is doing. And there can't be double counting, and it can't be missing pieces. So taxonomy is the one that unites all of those different teams, because it allows you to speak the tech and speak finance and bridge people's need to say, I have all this spend, and by the way, if you turn these knobs, you would save yourself money, get more capacity, etc. It changes the narrative, and it allows them to have a conversation that's data driven. So the taxonomy for me is the key piece, that foundation. So I've had this exercise in the last probably 3 years of the cloud versus on-prem conversation. And there's always been a versus, but it's not really an or, it's an and. And the key in that is you are going to have a hybrid environment. It doesn't matter if you're in multiple clouds, or if you're going to be on-prem and clouds, or if you're going to have multiple environments on-prem. You're going to have a blend of things, and that tech is always going to change. And the business demands are going to come in and cause you to actually adapt to them. So the infrastructure needs to be dynamic to handle that. But the thing that remains constant is the taxonomy. It doesn't matter if you're in cloud, you're on-prem, you're a hybrid. All of those elements land in those towers to be able to present that data back up and have a business conversation versus a technical conversation or a finance conversation.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So let me ask you a question now. This is you just heard about the taxonomy part. I mean, I know this has been part of the DNA for the company for a long time, and you guys had donated the taxonomy into TBM. So TBM has become this force in the industry. I believe it's over 9,000 members and $1.2 trillion in overall IT spend is represented by that membership. And I think it's over 40% of the members are C-level.
That's right.
Yeah, so an incredible community. And I remember the first meetings. I presented at some of those. I remember the development of the book. I was blessed to be in one of the first chapters, right, as far as experience parts. But tell me more about what's gone on with the actual council and the community in the last couple of years.
Sure. So that taxonomy that you referenced earlier has really been a big focus of that community. Very passionate members who care about best practices for technology, for IT, how they run the business.
Yeah.
I remember first joining Apptio and trying to find something on the internet about cost allocations. And I think there was one hit, and it was an MIT white paper. So everybody was trying to figure this out. And they were all trying to build their own classification, their taxonomy, and it literally pitted people against each other in their organizations. Kind of like you were mentioning earlier, everybody had a different point of view. So in the early days, everybody was trying to build their own thing. And it was really with the TBM Council and leaders such as yourself, where best practices came together. This taxonomy 1.0 was created, and it really laid that foundation for how do you translate cost pools or financial speak, the dollars, into IT speak, such as hardware, software, network, on up to applications. And so that was the 1.0. The community has progressed that. There's been a version 2 of that taxonomy. That version brought forth the concept of services in the taxonomy. And I think it really speaks to this hybrid topic we're talking about, as moving from traditional IT applications and infra into services, whether it's IaaS or PaaS. And then the council has gone on to form industry versions of the taxonomy. So whether you're in oil and gas or financial services, there are things that you do differently, including things like best practices for KPIs and metrics. How do I look at IT as a percentage of revenue or per employee? And even the federal government has its own way of viewing costs. So there's now a
federal
form. Yes.
I remember that federal CIO thing that came together at a board meeting. That was interesting. There was 30 CIOs across the different government entities. But so that's what's really come out of that.
That's right.
And it's different vertical.
That's right. That's right.
So I talked about the and not an or, right, between on-prem and that. And this whole conversation, because when you start talking metrics and financial things and all that, it makes the engineer side gloss over. And then again, when you're talking about kilowatts and terabits, et cetera, it makes the financial side gloss over. So when you are uniting those conversations into what is the business value, right? This hybrid infrastructure, why am I actually making an investment into it? What return am I getting? And I'll tell you, I had a conversation with Bob Swan. Bob Swan was the CFO at eBay. He's now the CEO at Intel. And he gave me a very interesting insight. When I first came in and talked to him, he was asking the question, why do you need this money? Prove to me why I need to actually invest this. Fast forward 2 years. And it was, what can I do to help you? What investment do you need? Why is that conversation different? Because we walked in speaking his language. It simply is, hey, we need to invest this $100 million in these 3 things because it's going to give an enabler for the business or a growth in top-line revenue, et cetera. And the enabler of that is the underlying infrastructure that's powering that company. Doesn't really matter what tech, cloud, on-prem, et cetera. It empowers everyone to make those conversations very effective. So to me, that really goes back to this hybrid infrastructure is the enablement of it. But it still is a business system of record for IT means that you have all your ducks in a row. All of your dollars that you are spending are classified appropriately. There's no double counting, and the data will set you free. If you have that information, then you can just go have a non-emotional conversation and not an overhead conversation. Because that's usually the way it's been in the past. IT or infrastructure is seen as a cost of doing business and an expense and overhead, instead of, wow, if we invested in here, we could accelerate 2 bips within our revenue. So totally different conversation that you will get to. But the only way to do that is if you've got a foundational infrastructure that gets you that structured data to be able to have that business conversation.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to ask you another question now.
Great.
What are the top 3 things that that you think digital infrastructure portfolio owners should be thinking about based on our conversation?
Yeah, it's great. And I'll start off by nodding back to something that you said that I'm certainly seeing in the marketplace today when I talk to customers, and that's the concept of empowerment and what the world of hybrid has really opened up with these services is option and choice and really democratization of those options to developers, to application owners, to infrastructure owners, to be able to pick the best option based on the business outcome they're trying to drive. So number one takeaway is creating that culture of empowerment, which means a lot of different things. So being ready for that as a digitization infra owner is super important because it means you're going to have developers spinning up new capacity. They might leave abandoned applications that are drawing those resources. They might not tag their stuff. So how do you make that balance of creating this culture of empowerment while also not creating waste and limiting risk? So I think that culture is something that's really here today, and something that as infra leaders, it's a number one point that I hear time and time again.
Gotcha.
I think the second point speaks to the taxonomy. Whether you have a taxonomy or, as you heard at CloudAbility, a FinOps framework, you've got to have best practices, frameworks, and taxonomies that embrace that culture of empowerment. And in order to do that, you have to have people talking the same language. So getting people on the same page when you're running that fast and you have that world of empowerment with choice is really important. So second, really being that set of best practices, frameworks, or taxonomy.
And the structure that enables everyone to speak the same language.
That's right. That translator that lets the finance folks talk to the technology folks, to the business folks. And that's the third point I'll really end with. And that is not losing sight, and you said this earlier too, of the customer and the business at the end of the day. So whether it's tying back what you're doing in the world of infrastructure to million active daily user stats or number of packages that have been shipped per day, it's really not losing sight. It's not about EC2 or an Azure RI or a CUD or a private cloud. It's really what customers are you servicing and how are you meeting the needs of the business.
Yeah.
And being able to measure it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how about you? You have this great new role. You have a great purview. You look like you're having a lot of fun.
Definitely.
in learning about it. What are the top 3 best practices or takeaways that you would like to relay to folks?
Yeah. Just taking it's really been the last decade, I think, is the way the cloud has come out, and infrastructure has now become a material thing to the C-suite. Before it was an underlying expense that wasn't talked about at the boardroom. Now, infrastructure investments, the billions and billions and billions of dollars that are out there, whether you're building it yourselves or using cloud, et cetera, there's never been more growth. So you need to be prepared for it. So I would say my top 3 is, first off, you hit on a number of them. But the number one thing is that if you don't have a structure, if you do not have a taxonomy, you're going to make suboptimal decisions. And it's easier to make mistakes when you don't have all the facts together. So I think that your second point about the taxonomy was really critical. So number one. I think the second is that there is going to be a cultural aspect of this that you're going to have to get over. You know, we talked earlier today about the kilowatts in the data center, to the terabytes in the hardware, to the terabits on the network, to the financial elements within the, financial support systems, etc. So you have to have that Rosetta Stone that can translate between them. But you get all on the same page by having data that's structured in the right way. And if you approach it to say, I need to know what I have, I need to know how it's consumed, and then I need to know how I can optimize it so that I can actually go back and show the business value to the executives for decision making, right? Because you're talking about the big money here. So I'd say there's a cultural aspect, trying to get your arms around that. But the taxonomy leads to a standardized conversation that will lead to the right outcomes. Now, the last one is the reality I think that people need to face. This isn't something you go plug in a tool and it works. You have to clean your house up. There's some heavy lifting to try and go back and make sure that you can get to that taxonomy. But it is worth the effort. I will tell you, in the last, I would say, 6 years, I've gone through this exercise a couple different times and bringing people along. And it takes time to get there. But once you get there, everybody's united, because it's no longer an emotional or religious conversation about what technology to invest in or how to cut costs. It's literally about the investments we're making to help streamline and optimize or grow the business. Very different conversation. But I think that people should take away from this that there is, no matter what, there is work to be done, but there is industry standards to adopt that will get you there with a path. And there are tools that will allow you to be able to do that quicker. And so I think every company needs this. Nobody is exempt when it comes to infrastructure and the decisions to ensure that that infrastructure is enabling the company to optimize and grow. So thanks, John, for being here. I think that this has been a very interesting conversation about our hybrid infrastructure trend in the industry. And I think for folks that are watching this, the number one thing to take away from this is if you do not have a taxonomy, or as we're saying it, a business system of record for IT, you need one. So go back and start investigating what that looks like. Join the TBM Council. Start investigating tools like they have with Apptio and other folks in the industry. Look for something that's going to help you actually get that together so you can have a business conversation. You need a Rosetta Stone so you can be successful. So thanks very much, John, for being here. I appreciate you spending the time and catching back up. And thank you very much for joining us here on Infrastructure Matters, and we will see you on the next episode.